of Mount Everest. I've sailed the 7 seas. I've shared the stage with all the best. Lot of good it did for me. I've walked the wall of China, walked till my feet were sore. Came home to Carolina and found my love next door. Well, what do you know? I didn't have to travel the world. Yeah, what do you know? To find a brown-eyed man for a blue-eyed girl. What do you know?
Hi friends, good morning and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing really well today. I am so excited to have a cozy sewing day today and get to a project that I've been meaning to get to for a long time. I feel like I am probably the last sewer on the internet to get around to making the viral Ganni style blouse, but I am finally going to be doing it today. If you are not familiar with this style, it's basically a puff sleeved blouse that ties in the front and has a little peplum detail, and I think it's so cute for the summertime. So that is going to be what I attempt to make today. Let me show you the fabric that I've picked out for this project. Surprise, surprise to all of you, it's Rifle Paper Company, but I love this little lattice style print and I thought it would be really cute for this particular blouse style. And then my theory as far as the pattern goes for this style is that any simple boxy blouse pattern would work. So I'm going to be basing mine off of Simplicity 8335. I just had this one in my pattern stash and it's basically a cropped blouse with not really any shaping in the front. So I think it's going to work well, and I'll go over my whole process of how I adapt this pattern as we go throughout the video. I'm very excited to work on this today. I've been noticing recently that I don't have a lot of good summer blouses and tops in my wardrobe, so I'm hoping this will fill a little bit of a wardrobe gap, and also hoping that there will be some good information for you all as I go throughout the process in today's video. I've been having just a pretty relaxed morning so far, but I did make myself a little cup of coffee. Look at this beautiful vintage teacup. This was in my most recent thrift haul. I love putting my coffee in vintage teacups. It just makes me feel so happy every day. And if you've been watching my channel for the past couple of months, you know I've been trying to get better at my latte art and making coffee at home. I feel like it has gotten so expensive to go out for a coffee now, and I still love going to coffee shops, but I don't really want to pay those prices on a regular basis. So it's fun to get into making my own at home. And this morning I've been watching a really interesting coffee making class on Skillshare, who are very kindly sponsoring today's video. The class is called Become Great with Coffee from Beginner to Barista, and I have found it so helpful so far. It's really short installments and it goes through every detail of each style of latte art, from the 3 basic styles into more advanced styles. And I found it so helpful because the creator of the class pauses throughout the different steps of the process, so you can really see the detail of what's going on, which I feel like has been difficult to find in other videos on the internet. So I'm really enjoying it so far, and I hope it will help me level up and get a little bit more consistent with my latte art. Now, if you're unfamiliar with Skillshare, Skillshare is the largest online learning community for creatives with thousands of classes led by industry experts across a range of topics, from film to photography to design to freelance and so much more. And if you enjoy my YouTube channel, there are so many sewing and pattern design classes over on Skillshare. I took one that was pattern design for Adobe Illustrator a couple of years back, and I absolutely loved it. It was so helpful and informative. And if you're like me and you live in a really warm place, in the summertime you might enjoy spending some time indoors learning something new. I know that's what I'm going to be doing all summer, so it's the perfect time to give Skillshare a try. The first 500 of you to use my link will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. So if, like me, you're interested in making better coffee at home, it will be a great opportunity to try that class out during the 1-month free trial. I'm so excited to get better at my coffee making and also to continue learning alongside the Skillshare community this summer. I hope you will be too. Thank you again to Skillshare for sponsoring today's video. Be sure to visit that link down in the description box below, and let's go ahead and jump into today's sewing project. So for the front of the top, I'm just using the front piece from the pattern, but I'm going to go ahead and shorten it to be at the natural waistline, which you will see is indicated on most patterns. You can usually see right where the waistline is. So I'm just folding my piece here to crop this a little bit. You could make this as short as you wanted it to be. If you want it to be more like an empire line, that would be easy to do. And then instead of cutting this on the fold, I'm going to add just a little bit more width for a seam allowance here in the front, and then I will split this piece down the center front. Then for the back of the shirt, I'm going to use the same piece as the front to maintain this boxy look, but I'm going to transfer the armhole from the back of the shirt from the original pattern so that this will fit nicely with the sleeve. So I'm just going to lay the back piece over the front piece so that I can kind of merge these two patterns into one piece. If you had a universally boxy top, this would be very easy to do. You wouldn't need to do this. And then I'm going to cut this out on the fold. Now for the front and the back pieces, I am just slightly curving the bottom hemline to make things fit a little bit more nicely. And then for the sleeve, I'm going to take this sleeve pattern and split it down the center. This is just a simple short sleeve that's set in, and I want to make it a little bit more puffy. So I'm going to add some width in the middle here, and I'm just estimating this, and I'm also adding a little bit of extra length as well. Then for the ties, all you'll need are 6 strips of fabric. I decided to make mine around 20 inches long just so I had some room to work with them. And then I just estimated the width that I would want them to be, and you'll see later in the video I'm going to make these a little bit less wide. And then finally for the peplum, you'll want 3 strips of fabric, 2 for the front and 1 for the back of the shirt. And you just want to make sure you have enough room for this to be gathered up to create a ruffle. So I just made mine the entire width of my fabric here because it worked really well with the width of the shirt. And here are all of the pattern pieces now ready to go. I'm also going to be using a little bit of bias tape and elastic on this project. So now with my pattern cut out, I can go ahead and get started sewing. I'm just going to start with some basic seams. I'm going to do the shoulder seams and the side seams. This should be pretty straightforward. And then from there, we'll go on to the sleeves. Okay, I had to charge my camera battery for a little bit, so I stopped and had some lunch, and then I went ahead and did one of the sleeves, and I saved the other one to show you so you can see how it looks here. I also worked on making some of the ties, and I saved one to show you as well. So let's jump into sleeve 2. So all I'm going to do to get started with the sleeve is sew the side seam and then run some gathering stitches along the top of the sleeve, and then I'll show you how I turn this into an elastic casing here in just a second. Okay, so here's how the sleeve is currently looking with the side seam sewn and the gathering stitches added. So now I'm just going to turn under the bottom hem, first 1/4 of an inch and then 1/2 of an inch to create an elastic casing. I'll sew that down almost all the way around, but leave a small gap so that I can insert my elastic here in just a second. But I'm just going to press this down in place to start. So now I'll just sew this in place, making sure to leave that gap for the elastic. And I usually leave my gap right by the seam so that it's not visible. So now I've cut a piece of elastic that fits comfortably around my arm, and I'm just going to add this into the elastic casing using a good old safety pin. So now I'm just going to overlap the elastic, making sure that nothing is twisted inside the armhole, and sew these pieces of elastic together using a zigzag stitch. Then using a straight stitch, I'll simply close up that gap that we left before. I'm quickly just going to stitch up the last tie, and these are super easy to do. All I'm going to do is sew this into a tube and sew one end closed, then I can turn it right side out and I have a cute little tie. I ended up deciding that I want the final width of the tie to be 5/8 of an inch. So since I have the markings on both sides of my sewing machine, I'm just going to match up the folded side to that 5/8 of an inch seam allowance, and then I'll trim off all the excess on this side. I just wasn't quite sure how wide I wanted them to be in the first place, so that's why I ended up doing this now. Now I have a state-of-the-art tool I'm going to use to turn this right side out today because this is what I have. Sometimes I use knitting needles, but I couldn't find one of the longer ones, just really quickly looking for one, so I just grabbed a pencil, and we're gonna use this. Don't do this if you're concerned about it poking through and accidentally getting a little bit of the color on the fabric, but I tested this out on the others and it was fine. So now at this point you want to go ahead and try the top on and mark where you want the ties to be. And I just had pinned these in place because I wanted to see how it looked as I tried it on. And now we're just going to baste the ties to the locations that we've chosen. I'm going to try my best to make sure I keep this pattern matched up in the front as well. So I'm just going to place the tie face down so that when everything is turned to the right side, it's going to be really clean right here. And then I will just run a few basting stitches over these to secure them in place. All right, we are ready to baste these down. Okay, and now I'm going to come in with some bias tape. I'm going to open this out like so, and then line it up with the right sides together against the entire outside of the shirt down the front opening and the neckline. Then I'll sew right here along this little fold. Now, once I do that, I can fold all of my bias tape towards the inside, and it will look, if I can get this to work, it will look like this on the inside. So then I'll just top stitch right along this edge to keep everything secure. Now this bias tape is kind of like a contrast to this fabric. You could definitely use something that matched exactly, or you could make your own. I just happen to have this on hand and I kind of like the contrast of the beige with the cream. Now this particular bias tape that I have is bias binding, but I'm just using it as if it were just plain bias tape. Now that I think about this, I'm actually going to do it in sections. I'm going to do the front pieces and then I'll do the neckline as one piece. So I'm going to trim this right here. So here's how this looks on the outside, and then here is how it looks on the inside. I love how this is just a really clean way to finish the edge. So now I'm just going to add bias tape around the neckline, and I will make sure that it's folded under at the edge so that there's no raw edges showing. Okay, so here is where we're at so far. I think it's looking so cute. If you didn't want to do the peplum, you could go ahead and hem this now. It would just be a cute little kind of like cropped shirt, but I want to add the peplum, so let me show you how I'm going to do that. So the peplum has this wider piece for the back and then the two shorter pieces for the front. So I'm going to start by just sewing the side seams together with the right sides together, and then I'm also going to hem the lower edge and the two sides in the front. so that everything is really clean. Then from there, I'm just going to add gathering stitches, and it's really just attaching a ruffle around the bottom of the shirt. So it's a pretty quick and easy thing to do. So I'm going to start on this, and then I will show you the finished shirt. Okay, so I just tried the shirt on, and I think I actually am going to make a change to the overall design. I think it's super cute, but I think because of how flowy the back is, I actually want to taper the peplum so it kind of starts from nothing and then almost becomes like a little train in the back. I think it's going to work better with the overall cut of the shirt, and we will go from there. Okay, and here is how it looks now that I have cut the front just a little bit, and I think this suits my style a lot better. I finished making that alteration and then I tried it on. I was just like, ah, yes, this feels like me now. So I think that it turned out so cute. What a comfy and fun little top for summer. If you're like me and you don't necessarily love the idea of having your stomach showing, I wear these little Abercrombie bodysuits underneath a lot of my dresses and tops, and it just makes me a little bit more comfortable when it's open like this. But I think it is so cute. All right, I feel like I am very pleased with how this turned out. It was such a fun little project, and it really didn't take that long. I do think that because my sleeves have less volume than the original Ganni top, that was why I needed to cut a little bit of the volume here, and I feel like it's just a bit more balanced now. So I'm very happy with it, and I love this green fabric. It's making me very happy, and it feels very summery to me. That is going to be it for today's video. I really hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if you decide to make a similar top, because I would love to see how yours turn out. I really appreciate you watching and spending your time here on my channel today. Thank you again to Skillshare for sponsoring today's video. Remember to check the link down below, because the first 500 of you to click it will get that 1 month free trial, so definitely take advantage of that. Thank you again for watching and hanging out here today, and I will talk to you in a new video very soon. Bye!